yedakilam iti upadesha saram.
Nice, thank you. Any Prabhujis? Or only Mataji's rule? Sita Mataji.
I'll read the translation, Mataji. This is difficult for me if you don't mind. I can try. Tannama Rupa Charitati Sukrita Nanu Smrityo Karmena Rasana Manasi Niyojana Tishthan Vraje Tad Anuragi Janunagami Kalam Nayed Akhilam Iti Upadesha Saram.
Very nice, thank you. Rohit Nayyar Prabhu.
तन्नामरूपचरितादि सुकीर्तनानु स्मृतिक्रमेण रसना मनसि नियोज्य तिष्ठान् व्रजे तद् अनुरागी जनानुगामी कलं नयेद् अखिलम् इति उपदेशसारम्.
Very nice. Seema Arjun Mataji. Thank you, Prabhu. Seema Arjun Mataji.
Yes, yes. Hare Krishna Mataji. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smrityoha Kramena Rasana Manasi Nyojya Tishtan Vrajetad Anuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayed Akilam Iti Upadesha Saram.
Very nice, Mataji. Thank you. Okay, Gayatri Mataji. And then we'll read the Gayatri Mataji. Gayatri Mataji, you can unmute yourself. Okay, she's having. Mataji, you still want to chant?
Yeah. Tannama Rupa Charitati Sukirtananu Sprutya Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tishtan Rajetat Anuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayedakilam Iti Upadesha Saram.
Very nice. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, Sita Mataji. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sita Mataji, you want to read the translation?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Translation. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging in one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Goloka Vrindavana Dhama, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
You can read the verb. I'm just going to say one thing. 3 things are written here. One is that how one should utilize one's time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord, divine name, form, qualities, and eternal pastime. Again, 4 things: Nam, Rupa, Guna, and Leela. Okay, and these are the 4 things how Krishna manifests: Nam, Rupa, Guna, and Leela. Number 1. Number 2, where should one live? In Vraja. If one cannot live there physically, then one should live there mentally. Okay, and number 3, follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service. Okay, Mataji.
Since the mind may be one's enemy or one's friend, one has to train the mind to become his friend. The Krishna conscious movement is specially meant for training the mind to be always engaged in Krishna's business. The mind contains hundreds and thousands of impressions, not only of this life, but also of many, many lives of the past. These impressions sometimes come in contact with one another and produce contradictory pictures. In this way, the mind's function can become dangerous for a conditioned soul. Students of psychology are aware of this mind's various psychological changes. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 6, it is said, Yam yam vapi smaranam bhavam tajeti ante kalevaram tam tam iveti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Whatever state of being one remembers once when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. At the time of death, the mind and intelligence of a living entity creates the subtle form of a certain type of body for his next life. If the mind suddenly thinks of something not very congenial, one has to take a corresponding birth in the next life. On the other hand, if one can think of Krishna at the time of death, he can be transferred to the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. This process of transmigration is very subtle. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami advises devotees to train their minds in order that they will be unable, sorry, this process of transmigration is very subtle. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami advises devotees to train their minds in order that they will be unable to remember anything other than Krishna. Similarly, the tongue should be trained to speak only of Krishna and to taste only Krishna Prasada. Srila Rupa Goswami further advises Tishthan Braje. One should live in Vrindavana or any part of Vrajbhumi. Vrajbhumi, or the land of Vrindavana, is supposed to be 84 kroshas in area. 1 krosha equals 2 square miles. When one makes Vrindavana his residence, he should take shelter of an advanced devotee there. In this way, one should always think of Krishna and his pastimes. This is further elucidated by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sandhu 1.2.294. Krishnam Smaranam Janam Kashya Prishtam Nija Samhitam Tattat Katha Ratas Chasyu Kuryat Vasam Raje Sada. A devotee should always reside in the transcendental realm of Raja and always engage in Krishnam Smaranam Janam Kashya Prishtam, the remembrance of Sri Krishna and his beloved associates. By following in the footsteps of such associates and by entering under their eternal guidance, one can acquire an intense desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, Srila Rupa Goswami states in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Seva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi tad bhava lipsuna karya vraja lokanushyatyaha. In the transcendental realm of Raja, Rajadhama, one should serve the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, with a feeling similar to that of his associates, and one should place himself under the direct guidance of a particular associate of Krishna, and should follow in his footsteps. This method is applicable both in the stage of sadhana, spiritual practices executed while in the stage of bondage, and in the stage of sadhya, God realization, when one is in Siddha Purusha or a spiritually perfect soul.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. So, very nicely read. So, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada is saying how one should live. So far, we read how one should interact, how one should recognize Guru, how one should look at another pure devotee, and what are the 3 levels of devotee. Now he's internalizing how we should live, and what we should do with our mind, what we should do with the time, which are both Krishna's property and given to us, and where we should live, and how we should execute our own Krishna consciousness. It's becoming more and more detailed. Okay, last 4 instructions, 8, 9, 10, 11, deal with mostly this matter of one's own Krishna consciousness. So, Prabhupada, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada is saying that one has to train the mind to become his friend. It means that actually it is not a friend. We cannot argue Rupa Goswami Prabhupada's statement that my mind is my friend. The mind is not the friend. Why? Because we can study the thought of the mind. The mind is only a friend if it is reminding us to think of Krishna. That is, there is no perhaps, there is no probable, there is no, maybe kind of aphorisms here. There is no room. The meaning of friendship means that my mind is saturated with the thoughts of Krishna. That is the function of the mind. Okay, but if the mind is forgetting, then it is not a friend yet. It's not that sometimes friend, sometimes enemy. It doesn't work like that. The serious business. Not like I have sometimes my own mind becomes my enemy. Sometimes my own mind is a friend. No. Okay, according to this instruction, only one relationship one should have the mind, and that mind should be a friend. That's it. My Guru Maharaj says mind has two functions. Uncontrolled mind is a serpent. You know, it's always giving some concocting ideas to be happy in this place. Or a controlled mind is a servant. So for a Goswami, a person who is acting on the level of the soul can actually direct the intelligence and tell the mind, do this, do that, do this, and then come back. You see how a turtle exposes its limbs and body to the world, acquires what it has to, and then comes back inside and remains established in the shell. Like that, the mind is. We cannot not listen to our own mind and listen and follow the instruction that control me like this, or let's do that. No, it's not going to work. It has not worked. We haven't gone back yet. If someone is very serious, if someone is very sincere, someone is trying to be very, very genuine in their practice, then this is the instruction. Okay, so the mind has many, many impressions. Many, many impressions are there from so many lifetimes. In one lecture, Srila Prabhupada says somebody is sitting and suddenly a thought comes, unrelated, like a bubble appears in a glass of water or in a bucket full of water. We see sometimes just a bubble appears. Like that, suddenly a thought comes. Where is it coming from? There is an origin. Nothing is by accident. When we cannot account for its origin, we say accident. But actually, according to the Shastras, there is nothing called accident. It's coming from some of the impression in some lifetime that the mind had. Same mind. We are carrying the same mind in the material world. Same impure mind. Okay, so the mind's function can become very dangerous for a conditioned soul. We see so many crimes happening and all are originating from the mind. So very, very dangerous enemy. Prahlad Maharaj says, we don't have any other enemy other than our own uncontrolled mind. He makes this statement in 7th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. There is no other enemy for a conditioned soul other than their own uncontrolled mind. No other enemy? That's what Prahlad Maharaj says in 7th canto. We can think about it. Okay, so we are responsible. We are responsible. These instructions are given to us in human form of life so that we can account for our responsibility and take into consideration that what next? What next? What do I want to do? And if somebody is not there yet, then this will be a very heavy instruction for them. They won't be able to understand what we are doing here. And that's fine because Prabhupada's words are purifying enough that just by hearing about it sometime in their life, this life or next life, this will act. These are live words. This is not a dead word. This is not fiction. These are live things. Prabhupada said, one touches my books, just touching, or looks at my books, just by looking. Journey back to Krishna starts. And if one reads one word of my book, that person has already taken 100 steps towards Krishna. Okay, so just by looking Prabhupada's books, just by touching Prabhupada's book, just by reading one word of Prabhupada's book, starts. We have already started. So the thing is done. Now the speed depends on us. The beginning is done. Okay, so train the mind, train the mind. Then he says tongue, train the tongue. Tongue is uncontrolled, wants to taste and chant so many things. You know, prajalpa, which we studied in the first instruction, unnecessary talk, so which is like croaking of a toad. The whole material manifestation is based on prajalpa, the whole material creation. Okay, animals are making various sounds. Plants are also making various sounds. Water, ocean is also making various sounds. The living entities under the water are also making. Birds are also making various sounds. Human beings are also making various sounds. And we are having different traits of our personality based on our talk. And our talk is a representation of the contents of our mind. It's connected. It's all connected. So we have to train. We have to train, my dear tongue. You have such a nice attitude to taste and chant so many things. Please taste this. So you have to be very compassionate because both are very disturbed. Mind is disturbed, tongue is also very disturbed. So we have to have an internal dialogue. This is called introspection or internal dialogue. When I'm attracted to something which is not related to Krishna, I can have a dialogue with my senses. Yeah, that's nice. If you want to do that, subconsciously, I used to do it. So immature. Now I can go back. It was January, 19 years I've completed now with ISKCON Mangaluru. And I remember when I was trying to give up drinking coffee, not that I'm a Paramhansa, I'm nowhere, I'm not even a devotee, but I was sharing that. So it gave me a guilt feeling that I'm drinking. Small thing only going back. So what I used to do is I used to fill the cup of coffee. I used to put it in front of me. Let's say this is coffee cup, okay? Put it in front of me and then I used to talk to it. Now drink. Drink. When you want to do Krishna consciousness, this is Srimad Bhagavatam, this is your chanting bag, and this is your cup of coffee. Like you have choices. Make your choices very visible to yourself. It worked with me. Drink it. I said, okay, let me drink it after 5 minutes. Let me just read one more verse. No, okay, 5 minutes over, drink. So, I mean, not that you have to do all that. I feel a little immature, but I did it. And I was able to give up like that. So you can see whatever anarthas we have, whatever propensities we have to eat, just don't jump to it. Give it some gap between your need to have it and then the object of sense object, the object of sense desire, which is in front of us, and a desire to get that object. There can be some gap between the two. There can be some dialogue there. Am I making sense? Are you following what I'm saying? That let's say that I want to watch a movie. Okay. Well, you will follow. I know. Let's say I want to watch a movie. Okay. Let's not just grab a remote, turn on the movie and sit down. Just have a dialogue. Okay, I want to watch a movie. This thing is there in my this thing is there in me. I have to watch. But slowly, one may fail. One may fail actually. One may not succeed immediately, but do it. Slowly, you will start hearing your own voice. Krishna consciousness is hearing about our own voice and our own inner voice. So it will succeed. One day it will succeed. Well, we did this, and if I am restricting myself from watching a movie, what other thing can I do? Oh, I'm bored of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Maybe let me check out if I can hear Srila Prabhupada's lecture. Or let me check out what is there in the refrigerator that I can make. What other new recipe can I try for Krishna? Something other engagement has to be done. Okay, it may work. Or talk about it. Keep on talking about it to your confidential friend, devotee friend that you may have. Okay, and then living. We live. Our environment defines our personality. So if we enter a house of a person, we can immediately find out, right, that what is that person's personality like. If I enter the house of someone and the house is all hither and thither, everything is scattered, nothing is organized, we can make out the mind of this person is like very, very he is unorganized, too much to do, management skills are a little bit lax. Or enter the house of a person which is very well organized, we can find out that this person has inclination for organizational skills. Like that, our living place and our living style will define of what are we doing with our lives. It's really directly proportional. So Rupa Goswami Prabhupada is saying that live in the place where Krishna performed his pastime, because there will be less chance for deviation. Our senses are looking for deviation all the time because of the uncontrolled mind behind it. It's always looking, what next, what next, what next, what conditioned soul. Because earlier in earlier, one sannyasi came from South Africa. So he was giving the class. He said, The definition of a conditioned soul is, conditioned soul, wherever it goes, looks for what's there for it to enjoy. What is there in it for me? Definition of realized, self-realized soul is, it goes everywhere and thinks, what is there for me to serve Krishna with here? So we are conditioned soul. It's fine, accept. So so when we live in a Vrajadham, or when we visit the Vrajadham, there is less chance for distraction for anything else. Even if I want to get distracted, there is nothing much to get distracted there, because it's all filled with Krishna's pastime, Krishna's guna, leela, and rupa, and nam. Okay, so that is why it is important that we actually, if we can't live there physically, it is in Bhakti Samrita Sindhu, this is a statement like this: if we can't live there physically, then live there mentally. Live there mentally. Think, if you are over there every day, what are you going to do? Which part of Vraja are you visiting today, New Year Day? What part of Vrindavan do you like the most? And if you have not been to the Vrindavan, then develop a desire to go there. Do something about it. Okay, so this transcendental pastime of Vraja, this is a little deep statement, stage of sadhana and stage of sadhya. Both devotees are advised to live in the Vraja, and not just live in the Vraja, but also take shelter of a elevated devotee and follow the principles of Krishna consciousness under their shelter. That is the meaning of living in Dham. Living in Dham doesn't mean that we go there and we do some shopping and we come back. No, living in Dham means we associate with the devotees who are elevated, who can teach us how we can execute our Krishna consciousness. So in sadhana stage, that's what happens. We learn about the devotees. In sadhya stage, we develop something called ragatmika bhakti. I think I use these words. Raga nuga bhakti means one spontaneous devotional service. Sadhana bhakti means I don't have a spontaneous attachment, but I'm attached to following the rules and regulations. Following. One comes to the stage of spontaneous devotional service, which is called Raganuga Bhakti. Now, when we execute Raganuga Bhakti is executed with the emotion of emotion, and that emotion is called as Ragatmika Bhakti. So let's say I have a spontaneous devotional service towards Krishna, and my feeling towards Krishna is directed towards Krishna's pastimes with this particular devotee. Let's say Yashoda Mother Yashoda. So I am executing my tendency for spontaneous devotional service in the feeling of following Mother Yashoda's emotions, Mother Ragatmika, Mother Yashoda's emotions. Am I making sense? These are elevated stage. It doesn't happen so soon. But it happens, Prabhupada says, and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also I have read, it says, where Rupa Goswami says, following, one will come to know about their own inclination. What is it that I'm attached to in Krishna consciousness? Okay, so far we read how mind, and then we read tongue, and then we read where should we live. Okay, who would like to read? Okay, Madhurani Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented as follows upon this verse. One who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness should give up all material motives and train his mind by following the progressive regulative principles, namely chanting and remembering Krishna and his name, form, quality, pastimes, and so forth. In this way, after developing a taste for such things, one should try to live in Vrindavana and pass his time constantly remembering Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, and qualities under the direction and protection of an expert devotee. This is the sum and substance of all instruction regarding the cultivation of devotional service. In the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Shravanadasa, the stage of hearing. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities, and pastimes, one can attain to the stage of acceptance called Varnadasha. When one attains this stage, he becomes attached to the hearing of Krishna Katha. When one is able to chant in ecstasy, he attains the stage of Smaranavastha, the stage of remembering.
Sorry. I don't know what happened. Okay. Go ahead, Mataji. Smarana Vastha.
Stage of Smaranavastha, the stage of remembering. Recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, and trance are the 5 items of progressive Krishna Smarana. At first, remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals, but later remembrance proceeds uninterrupted. When remembrance is uninterrupted, it becomes concentrated and is called meditation. When meditation expands and becomes constant, it is called anusmriti. By uninterrupted and unceasing anusmriti, one enters the stage of samadhi or spiritual trance. After smarana dasha or samadhi has fully developed, the soul comes to understand his original constitutional position. At that time, he can perfectly and clearly understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. That is called Samapatti Dasha, the
Thank you,
perfection
Mataji.
of life. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So it's Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada's words are always difficult to understand. The very topmost scholars of his time. But I am going to share the summary slides for 7 and 8. So Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada is saying that one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. Always. Krishna Katha can be about Krishna's form, Rupa, Nama, Guna, and Lila. One of the things, whatever one is attached to. Look at Krishna's form. Prabhupada said this, if someone's mind is so disturbed that they can't even chant, then what should they do? Just look at the deity of Krishna. Just go on looking at the deity of Krishna, Radharani. Just go on looking. This is the Archa Vigraha. And just go on, appreciating how beautiful Krishna is, how beautiful Radharani is, how beautifully they are decorated. So just by doing that, and now it has become simpler than any time it was possible, because even if we are sitting in our house, we can still go to live darshan. So here and there, I go to ISKCON Vrindavan website for live darshan. They have live darshan at Aarti times, and I look at the Aarti of Garanitai, Radha Sham Sundar Krishna Balram. It's so nice. So, Vrindavan, Prabhupada said that one has, in India, the deity worship has to be very, very elaborate. Because the people are pious, they know what is deity worship. In the Western world, however, the instruction is more on preaching. Deity worship is, Prabhupada established the deities. We do decorate the deities, we do worship the deities, but it's not that elaborate as it is in India, in any part of the world. South Africa is a competitor too. South Africa deities, Durban, the devotees make their dresses and they take pride in very, very beautiful dresses, thread and work they do on the dresses. Okay, so Krishna Katha, some way or the other, get attached. What is it that you are individually inclined towards? I keep requesting that hear Srila Prabhupada every day. Even if you don't understand, just hear his Vani. Because his Vani is like a vaccine, which can actually purify the misconceptions of one's heart. It's a vaccine. In the middle of a pandemic, if somebody gives vaccine against a disease, one should take it. It's also Prabhupada's instruction. Take it, because It will help us get rid of, or will make us less prone for infection. So like that, even if I don't understand how vaccine works, but it works. Like that, we don't understand how Prabhupada's Vani work, but it works. It works. Shravana Dasa, just slowly get attached. Just serve your hearing tendencies. Serve. And then after doing this, I constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities, pastime, one can attain the stage of acceptance called Varana Dasha. So one accepts that yes, this is nice. And one attains this stage, he becomes attached to hearing of Krishna Katha. It did not start with attachment. The problem I see, the more I preach, and the problem I see, I think Namanishta Prabhu took care of us very well. So we were sheltered. It never came up. But now when he's exposing us to the world, problem I see is that people begin with the stage that they're very, very attached to hearing about Krishna. But they're not. They're not. They behave as if they are, but they are actually not. Why? Because we can see who they're hearing to, first of all. Some concocted guru, so they don't know who's a bona fide guru. They don't know how to recognize a bona fide guru. Not that they are at fault, but see, the mind plays these games. That is why we need association. And in association, we should be open to be corrected in a very polite way if somebody is trying to help us in our Krishna consciousness. We should not remain attached to our own stage of anartha. I am only going to do this. It's not like that. Prabhupada never said one way, no. Or Prabhupada never said also my way or the highway. He made so many adjustments. Yesterday, me and my children, I said, okay, we're going to recite one chapter of Bhagavad Gita to our deities. So my daughter chose 15, my son chose 17, I chose 12. So we were discussing what are our reasons to choosing different chapters. So I like 12th chapter because Krishna makes so many adjustments there. You know, if you are not attached, if you're not in the stage of Raganuga Bhakti, then do Vedayi Bhakti. If you can't do that, then do work for me, Nishkam Karma Yoga. If you can't do that, then do Sakam Karma. If you can't do that, then do meditation. But better than meditation is renunciation of fruits of action. Our knowledge, and better than knowledge is renunciation of fruits of action. So Krishna is adjusting. Prabhupada also adjusted. Okay, Prabhupada also adjusted. We are not saying, and some people become envious of ISKCON. And now you're seeing the whole world. They say Hare Krishna people think that this is the only way to come to Krishna. That's not the fact. Actually, when you stay with the movement, you become more and more appreciative of what you have. At least I became. So that's not the fact. That Prabhupada never said that ISKCON is the only way. Prabhupada quotes Acharya so many times. Prabhupada quotes Lord Shiva in his Sampradaya so many times. Prabhupada is a disciple in Germany, Krishna Kshetra Goswami, the sannyasi. His name is Krishna Kshetra Goswami. He's a scholarly person. He's done his PhD in religion and philosophy in Germany. And I heard him in Boston. He was presenting about his book. So the book was about deity worship. He said, in the summer of 1970s, Srila Prabhupada told him, if you want to learn deity worship, go to Radha Raman temple in Vrindavan. So this person from Germany who knew nothing about India, followed his instruction and stayed in Vrindavan for 3 years, learning how to do deity worship from Radha Raman temple. So ISKCON is not saying that we are the only way. We are allowed people because we are not hesitant about saying who is Krishna and how to go to Krishna. But people take us the way they are, actually, which is sad, because if you are a little bit open-minded, you will relish Krishna. You know, I told this example of one mataji in December class. She told me, I had no idea. I have no idea who's listening, right? How can we know? So this mataji told me that she follows Christian cult, and after hearing this Understanding Gita for 18 days, she's enjoying her Bible reading more than ever. We do meet some sincere people like that. So Krishna Katha is the first stage, become a subservient to the tendency to hear. And then Varna Dasa. Varna Dasa means I accept that yes, this is a good ritual. Let's do it as a ritual. And doing this ritual, Krishna, when one becomes attached to hearing about Krishna, and one is able to, when one is able to chant in ecstasy, this stage is called Smaranavastha, the stage of remembering. Remembering about Krishna is not a work for them anymore. I have given an example, which is Rupa Goswami Prabhupada's example. Remembering about a small child is not a work for a baby, for a mother. You know, Duty Mataji is a mother of a small baby. You know, if you ask her, is it a work for you to think about your child? Is the work? It's not a work at all. It's effortless. Like that it becomes. So recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, and trance are the 5 items of progressive Krishna Smarana. So even the thinking and remembering about Krishna also has these 5 elements. This is called Sankhya. So, and then remembrance is uninterrupted. It becomes concentrated, and that is called meditation. And when meditation expands and becomes constant, it's called Anusmriti. And uninterrupted, unceasing Anusmriti, one enters into the stage of Samadhi or spiritual trance. And after Samadhi, one becomes fully developed. And then one can understand what is my relationship with Krishna. That is called Sampati Das. Okay, so these are the stages. Go back and read and see if you can connect. Again, I will just quote the stages. Shravan Dasa, the Shravan Dasa, then Varana Dasha, and then after Varana Dasha, one becomes attached to hearing about Krishna. And one becomes attached to hearing about Krishna, one is able to chant in ecstasy. That is called Smaranavastha, at the stage of remembering. And then Krishna Smarana. From Smarana Dasha, one develops the memory for remembering about Krishna. Memory about Krishna has 5 things. One is able to recollect Krishna's pastime, one is absorbed, and one is in constant samadhi or meditation, constant remembrance and trance. So we can study Srila Prabhupada's life. He has all these things. Okay, and then the remembrance or Krishna Smarana is uninterrupted. That's then one enters a stage of one enters a stage of trance or meditation. And when the meditation expands, when we can see Krishna everywhere, not just within one's own mind, it becomes constant. It is called Anusmriti. And from Anusmriti, Smarana Dasha or spiritual trance. We can look at each and everything at that stage as Krishna's part and parcel. And then we can understand who we are in relationship with Krishna. Okay. Vibha, you want to read?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, this is the last paragraph. Go ahead.
Chaitanya Charitamrita advises those who are the neophytes to give up all kinds of motivated desires and simply engage in the regulative devotional service of the Lord according to the directions of Scripture. In this way, a neophyte can gradually develop attachment for Krishna's name, fame, form, qualities, and so forth. When one has developed such attachment, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna even without following the regulative principles. This stage is called Raga Bhakti, or devotional service in spontaneous love. At that stage, the devotee can follow in the footsteps of one of the eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavana. This is called Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti or spontaneous devotional service can be executed in the Santarasa when one aspires to be like Krishna's cows, or the stick or the flute in the hand of Krishna, or the flowers around Krishna's neck. In the Dasya Rasa, one follows in the footsteps of servants like Chitraka, Patraka, and Raktaka. In the friendly Sakya Rasa, one can become a friend like Baladeva, Sridhama, or Sudhama. In the In the Vatsalya Rasa, characterized by parental affection, one can become like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. And in the Madhurya Rasa, characterized by conjugal love, one can become like Srimati Radha Rani or her lady friends such as Lalita and her serving maids, Manjaris like Rupa and Rati. This is the essence of all instructions in the matter of devotional service.
Okay, thank you very much. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is full of relationships and food and Krishna's pastime or Mahaprabhu's pastime. So Raga Bhakti means that we are spontaneously executing Krishna consciousness. It's not a work for me to get up in the morning and do Mangalarti. Spontaneously attached. Spontaneously, whatever we are cooking is for Krishna. Nothing is for the taste of our tongue. So Raga Bhakti, if it is followed in the footsteps of eternal associate, is called Raga Anuga. Anuga means follow. And if it is executed in a feeling of such a devotee, is called Ragatmika. So Raga Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti, Ragatmika Bhakti. These three terms come up in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And when we do that, then we can develop one of the 5 primary rasas for Krishna: Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. Okay, Shantaras means just serving Krishna silently. Become Krishna's flute, become a flower around the garland of Krishna, or become a water that Krishna drinks, become a land on which Krishna walks. So or Prabhupada gives example that he was sitting on Vyasasana and he was explaining it, and he said, I am sitting on this Vyasasana, so this Vyasasana is serving me in Shantaras, like silently. And then higher than Shantaras is Dasyaras, where one develops, one actively serves Krishna. And examples are given like Chitraka, Patrika, and Raktaka. And higher than Dasyaras is not higher, but next level of rasa is Sakhyaras, serving Krishna as Krishna's friend, like Baldev, Sridham, Sudama. And next level of devotional service or mellow. One rasa means mellow. One enjoys mellow in serving Krishna. Is Vatsalya Ras, becoming parent of Krishna, like Mother Yashoda or Nand Maharaj. Next level is Madhurya Rasa or conjugal love. You know, Namanishna Prabhu was giving class, I think November. I attended one of his classes. I don't know what question he was answering, but I remember the reply. He said he's a Nashtika brahmachari. He's never married. Brahma is very staunch brahmachari. But he said, I can answer the question about all this Sasvahu drama going on in every household across the world. I can answer it from the Shastras. I was so curious about the answer. So what is the answer from the Shastras about this? He said it is everything is related to Krishna's pastime. Every single thing. Why there is always a friction between a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law in a household? Why? Because Madhurya Rasa is higher than Vatsalya Rasa. So that is why. Actually, if someone is a devotee, they can recognize what is the hierarchy of our relationships in material world also. So deep. Okay, maybe we can read verse 9 and then we can go to the summary of 7 and 8. Any questions about verse 9? Or you can even ask at the end. So I will chant this and then maybe one or two of you can also chant. Whoever has not yet chanted, please raise your hand if you want to chant after I chant this. Vaikuntha janito varamadhupuri tatrapi rasotsvad vrindaranayam udarapani ramana tatrapi govardhana Radha kundam ihapi gokula pathe premamrita palavanat kuryad asya virajato giritate sevam vivekina na kaha. Anybody who would like to chant? Yes, Uma Mataji. Uma Kannan Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Krishna.
Vaikuntha janito vara madhu puri tatrapi rasotvat pad वृन्दारम्यम् उदारपानी रमणात् तत्रापि गोवर्धना राधा कुण्ठम् इथापि गोकुलापते प्रेमा प्रेमार्थमतप्लवनात् कुर्याद् अस्या विराजतो गिरिता ते सेवां विवेकी नाका.
Thank you, Mataji. Madhvi
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी. वैकुंठदाज जनितो वरा मधुपुरी तत्रापि रसोदवद वृंदारण्यम उदरा पानी रमनाथ तत्रापि गोवर्धनः राधा कुंडम इप हि गोकुला पतेः प्रेममृत अप्लवनत कुर्याद अस्य विराजतो गिरितजे सेवम विवेकी न कह. हरे कृष्ण.
Thank you, Mataji. Nirupama, Dr. Nirupama Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Vaikuntha janito bara madhupuri tatrapi rasostabad Brunda ranam udarapani ramanath tatrapi govardhana Radha kundam ihapi gokulapate Premam raplavatnat Kuriya dishya virajato Giritate sevang viveki naga.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you. Okay, Vimla Mataji, maybe you can read the translation. Thank you. Vimla Mataji, would you like to read the translation? By His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathurapuri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavana because of Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes. And superior to the forest of Vrindavana's Govardhana hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and was the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Sri Radha Kunda stands supreme, for it's overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian Prema of the Lord of Gokula, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radha Kunda, which is situated at the foot of Govardhana hill?
Thank you, Mataji. So there's a hierarchy here. The holy place of Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha. But superior to Vaikuntha is transcendental forest of Vrindavan. There are 12 forests in Vrindavan, right? Where Krishna did his Raslila pastime. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by divine hands of Krishna and was the pastime of his loving exchanges. But superior to Govardhan Hill is Radhakund, which is at the foot of Govardhan Hill. Why? Because super excellent Sri Radhakund stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the love of the Lord of Gokula, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radhakund, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? Okay, so this is a hierarchy. So when you go to Vrindavan Dham next time, maybe we can meditate on Radhakund this way. This is a meditation on Radhakund. Namita Mataji, please go ahead. You want to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
The spiritual world is 3/4 of the total creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is the most exalted region. The spiritual world is naturally superior to the material world, however, Mathura and the adjoining areas, although appearing in the material world, are considered superior to the spiritual world because the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself appeared at Mathura. The interior forests of the Vrindavan are considered superior to Mathura because of the presence of the 12 forests. Dwadhasa Vana, such as Talvana, Madhuvana, Bahulavana, which are famous for the various pastimes of the Lord. Thus, the interior Vrindavan forest is famous for the various pastimes of the Lord.
The
Thus,
interior
the
Vrindavan forest is considered
considered superior to Mathura, but superior to these forests in the divine Govardhana hill, because Krishna lifted Govardhan hill like an umbrella, raising it with his lotus-like beautiful hand to protect his associates, the denizens of Vraja, from the torrential rain sent by the angry Indra, the king of the demigods. It is also at Govardhana hill that Krishna tends the cows with his cowherd friends, and there also he had his rendezvous with his most beloved Sri Radha and engaged in loving pastimes with her. Radha Kunda at the foot of the Govardhana is superior to all because it is there that the love of Krishna overflows. Advanced devotees prefer to reside at Radha Kunda because this place is the site of many memories of the eternal loving affairs of Krishna and Radharani. In Chaitanya Rati Vilasa. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
So
you, Mataji.
now again we continue. We ended the last verse, where to live. So Rupa Goswami Prabhupada says in verse number 8 that live in Brajadham always. Now he's continuing the same thing and he's saying Mathura is superior to Vaikuntha, but higher than Vaikuntha are the transcendental forest of Vrindavan, where Krishna did his Raslila. But higher than the transcendental forest of Vrindavan are, or superior to them are, is the Govardhan hill, which Krishna lifted himself. But superior to Govardhan hill is Radhakund, which is at the foot of Govardhan hill and which is overflooded with the love for Krishna. We will study next 9th, 10th and 11th verse that Radhakund, residence in Radhakund is very, very rare. Even the demigods or Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva want to reside and they don't get the residence there. So very, very potent place. Vrindavan is very powerful. Okay, so that's what he's saying here. And this is the last paragraph. Vandana Sharma Mataji. You have not read today, or have you read today? I don't remember.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, I have chanted the verse only.
Okay, go ahead, Mataji.
In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, it is stated that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first visited the area of Vrijabhumi, he could not at first find the location of Radhakunda. This means that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was actually searching for the exact location of Radhakund. Finally, he found the holy spot, and there was a small pond there. He took his bath in that small pond and told his devotees that the actual Radhakund was situated there. Later, the pond was excavated by Lord Chaitanya's devotee, headed first by the 6 Goswamis such as Rupa and Raghunatha Dasa. Presently, there is a large lake known as Radhakund there. Srila Rupa Goswami has given much stress to Radhakund because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire to find it. Who then would give up Radhakund and try to reside elsewhere? No person with transcendental intelligence would do so. The importance of Radhakund, however, cannot be realized by other Vaishnava Sampradayas. Nor can person uninterested in the devotional service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understand the spiritual importance and divine nature of Radhakund. Thus, Radhakund is mainly worshipped by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the followers of Lord Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. It's a very small word that live in Mathura, but higher than Mathura is forest of Vrindavan. Superior to that is Govardhan Hill. Superior to that is Radhakund. And Radhakund is, the importance is only mostly recognized only by Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Just because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had so much desire to search it out. Yes, there are other elements attached to it, but we follow our Acharya, right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested and wanted. So we follow, and then we get revealed later why, what is the importance of this. Okay, I will present the summary of 7 and 8. The 9 and 10 and 11 summary is together, which we'll do tomorrow. And then